Sitting in between Logansport and Lafayette, Delphi is the only city in all of Carroll County, Indiana. Named after the ancient Greek city of Delphi, at last census, less than 3,000 people lived in the town known for its large network of hiking trails and parks. It is unfortunate that because of these very trails that in 2017 Delphi would become synonymous with another thing: the as yet unsolved murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
Goes on in San Francisco for the man known as the Zodiac Killer.
There could be a serial killer in Chicago.
The Oakland County child killer.
Phantom killer.
Frankfurt slasher.
4 children have now been murdered.
Has killed 5 and says he's going to kill again.
15 brutally murdered young women.
The pattern is the same.
One by one, the death count started rising.
A man in a mask robbed, tied, and stabbed them.
Strangled, stuffed in burlap bags.
It is highly unlikely that these women were murdered by separate men.
Where will the killer strike next?
Police can't answer who or why.
That's the question that we'll never know.
I don't want to live the rest of my life wondering if this person's going to be caught.
I believe that there's someone out there that has knowledge.
And he's probably still at large.
This is breaking news from Channel 13 Eyewitness
We have
News.
nobody in custody at this time. So as far as I'm concerned, yes, there is somebody out there that did this horrendous crime, and we're going to track him down.
That's state police talking about the fear and concern in a small town community after they announced that 2 missing girls were in fact victims of murder.
Investigators solemnly identified the 2 bodies found in Carroll County as 13-year-olds Libby German and Abby Williams. Now, we still don't know what happened to them after they disappeared during an afternoon hiking trip.
The double homicide has prompted one of the largest investigations some officers say they've ever been part of.
When the first state highway was built in 1828, it ran directly through Delphi. In 1881, the Monon Railway laid its tracks through town, connecting Indianapolis with Chicago. Monon was eventually sold to CSX Transportation, who slowly began to abandon sections of the line beginning in the late 1980s. As with many former railways, the city converted into trails. Just to the east of town and across the Freedom Bridge begins the Monon High Bridge Trail. It leads into the Mary Gerard Nature Reserve and officially ends at the Monon High Bridge, which spans Deer Creek. The city has received funds to pave over the bridge and extend the trails, but as of 2022, the 1891 bridge looks the same as it did on February 13, 2017, when 8th graders Abigail Williams and Liberty German went for a hike. The 2 best friends had the day off from Delphi Community Middle School. That week had been in the mid-60s, and that Friday was no different. Libby asked her sister to drop them off, and the pair crossed onto the Monon Trail roughly here at 1:35 p.m. As teenage girls are wont to do, they naturally had to document their day on social media, and at 2:07, Liberty posted a photo of Abby walking across the high bridge. It would be the last thing either girl ever posted. After the girls did not return at 3:15 to be picked up, the families began searching for them, finally calling the police at 5:30 p.m. Police resumed their search the following day, Valentine's Day, and a personal item believed to be a shoe was found on the southern bank of the creek. As the search crossed over to the northern bank, they found the girls. Just across the edge of Ron Logan's property, about 50 feet from the water, was a crime scene described as bizarre and unlike anything that former investigator Robert Ives had ever seen.
Who'd ever think someone would be murdered in your backyard?
Ron Logan has lived on this property in Delphi for more than 50 years.
I don't even recall any homicides. It's just terrible. I just can't imagine that. My son, when he was a kid, he and his buddies played in here for all the time.
Naturally, little information has been released to the public, leading many to speculate. Ives has said that there was a lot of physical evidence left behind at the scene, but not the type that you would imagine. If you search the case online, the secrecy of the scene, cause of death, and any further information has led to a lot of speculation.
There's been a tremendous amount of speculation, Rich, about what we know and what we don't know. I think most people's intentions are good.
when they've done their own courses of investigations globally. Law enforcement should never talk about what we think. We should only talk about what we know. And it's easy for someone else, for a person out there trying to do the right thing, to make what they think what they know. You see what I mean?
Supposed leaked texts detailing the murders have been dismissed. Other unconfirmed statements include there was a lack of blood present or that it appeared to be a satanic ritual. One thing the investigators did mention was that DNA was collected and the killer left several strange signatures, though they may have been left in an effort to point in another direction. But other evidence has been made public. In an amazingly clever move, Libby recorded audio and video of a man approaching the two girls.
Authorities say Libby recorded this image of the alleged killer on her iPhone, along with haunting audio of his voice moments before their murder, apparently telling them to go down the hill.
Guys. Down the hill. Guys. Down the hill.
If you knew Libby, she had her phone attached to her hip all the time.
Libby's grandparents believe the teen knew something wasn't right with the man she encountered, prompting her to record him.
Something inside me just says, oh, she was going to film that and come home and say, look, Grandpa, look at this guy, you know. He was out there, really weird.
Definitely don't want to be afraid of heights. Standing where we are right now, the man would have been about here. His command would have sent the group walking down here and towards the crime scene. Just north of the crime scene is the Delphi Cemetery, a small countryside cemetery like hundreds that dot the state. Due to its proximity, it was believed the killer likely walked up here to his car to avoid running into anyone on the trail. This vacant lot is the former location of the County Child Protective Services building. In 2017, the building was abandoned and standing here. From noon until 5 p.m., it is reported that a truck was parked in the lot. The owner of this vehicle has never been identified. 2 weeks after the murders, a bomb threat was called in at the Indiana Packers Corporation, a meat processing plant just south of the bridge and is the largest employer in the county. During the search, police took boots and clothing but said it had no relation to the murders. It has been reported that authorities do have a bit more audio as well as a video where the girls mention that someone has been following them. In addition to the video, police released a sketch of the man they believe is in it. He's believed to be a white male between 5'6" and 5'10" inches, weighing between 180 and 200 pounds.
During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls.
Early on you released a sketch, and later you released a different sketch.
Right.
Why have the sketches changed so dramatically?
Well, investigations evolve. Remember, a sketch is not a photograph, but there'll be pieces and parts of that sketch that will make that photograph whole, you see. So if we didn't evolve with information, and we didn't evolve with what we know, then shame on us. Unfortunately, we're not in a position where we can tell everybody why we switch gears, why we make a slight turn to the right or a slight turn to the left.
What is this new direction? They aren't saying, but there's a number of suspects that we do know about. John Miller was convicted in 2018 for the rape and murder of 8-year-old April Tinsley back in 1988. He was investigated in connection to Delphi, but investigators have said nothing further. Next is 55-year-old Paul Etter. A tip mentioned him when he got into a standoff with police on June 27, 2019 for the kidnapping and rape of a 26-year-old in Lebanon, Indiana. After committing suicide, his DNA was collected and was compared in the case. No results have been released as of yet. Charles Andrew Eldridge was arrested for trying to solicit sex from an underage girl online January 2019, which resulted in a flurry of tips accusing him of the murders due to his mugshot. His social media accounts revealed that he had a fascination with missing child cases, including the Delphi murders. Then there's Daniel Nations, a homeless man arrested for threatening people with a hatchet on a hiking trail in Colorado.
Investigators from Indiana are more than 1,000 miles away tonight talking to this man about the Delphi murder. They've named Daniel Nations as a person of interest in that case.
The violent sex offender was confirmed to have been living at a hotel in Indianapolis at the time of the murders and was booked in jail just 10 days afterwards. After his release and the sketch of Bridge Guy was released, Nations had disappeared until turning up in Colorado. But with no evidence linking him, Nations has been dropped from the suspect list. The final known suspect is James Brian Chadwell. In April 2021, the 42-year-old man lured a 9-year-old girl to his basement to see his pet dogs and proceeded to rape and strangle her until police following a tip caught him in the act. One of the last updates in the case came when investigators asked for anyone with information on a fake social media account to come forward. Just 2 weeks after the murders, the FBI raided the home of Keegan Kline and confiscated scores of child pornography. Kline had used the Anthony Shots account to solicit young girls and was confirmed to have been in contact with Abby. However, he is not believed responsible for the murders.
All I can say about Keegan is that entire issue and the entire release has allowed us to glean significant investigative leads. That's all I can say about him.
As of 2021, Carroll County Police have enforced a total blackout of information released to the public on the Delphi murders. In the final press conference, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter directed a statement to the killer.
Directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
With his knowledge of the trail, it is believed the killer is a local to the Delphi area. And until police release any further information or announce an arrest, the citizens of the small Indiana town will never know if a killer is among them.
I think we're closer every day. The tips keep coming.
They'd be finishing up their freshman year in college. It's hard to believe.
I'm confident that there'll be a successful conclusion for Abby and Libby, for Mike and Becky and Anna, and for that community. I'm confident that there will.
It's hard, it's frustrating, it's been 5 years, but we're going to have answers eventually, and it's coming.
Should people in this community be concerned about someone running around targeting kids?
And yes, there is somebody out there that did this horrendous crime.
This guy could strike again. It could be your kids, it happened to our family. I don't want it to happen to anybody else. This is not something anybody should have to go through.
They're watching, and we'll meet them soon. Today could be the day. Sleep well.